You've unlocked a Roundtable.
Welcome to the Roundtable discussion of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. My name's Chris Levon. With me, as always, is Alex.
Hello.
And we just watched Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
Yeah. For those who are unaware, it's based off a book that's kind of satire off of the whole Victorian era literature about being a proper gentleman and lady. And
Right.
it takes that and spins it on its head, basically.
Yeah, it just tries to give like a modern twist because everybody loves zombie movies. So
Right.
why don't we incorporate zombies into everything? Something that we've kind of seen with Abraham Lincoln Vampire, or I'm sorry, was it Vampire Hunter?
It's Vampire Hunter. Yeah.
Okay, something similar to that, where it's like it takes something historical and adds something different to it.
Yeah. It I don't want to say lampoon. I don't think lampoon is the right word. But it gives it a bizarre twist, definitely.
Yeah. Also, we didn't mention it at the very beginning because I'm dumb. But our roundtable discussions are reviews first, and then we'll go into our goodbyes, and then we'll go into a spoiler section after that. So you can listen worry-free up until we'll give you a spoiler warning at the very, very end to discuss that. So that being said, back to the review.
Yeah.
What do you... Initial thoughts, what do you think?
I found it surprisingly humorous.
Okay.
I found myself laughing quite a bit at it because it puts itself in these kind of absurd situations.
Right.
But still puts on like a serious front. So it's it's kind of like this juxtaposition about what's actually happening in this scene and how the characters are carrying themselves. And I think it walks that line pretty well.
Yeah, you know what? I do agree with you. I thought that the humor was actually pretty decent in this movie. I didn't know what to expect.
Neither did I.
Because you have Pride and Prejudice, like a classic novel, and then they're trying to incorporate something new. So am I expecting full satire? Am I expecting a zombie movie? I don't know what I was kind of anticipating when I went to go watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really kind of helped me in regards to this movie and like liking this movie.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, on that point, like, I'll fully admit that I haven't read or watched Pride and Prejudice, like the original.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even have that frame of reference to go off of. Like,
Okay.
the closest thing I think I have is I read Jane Eyre in high school, and that's similar in some respects.
All right. Yeah, that was my thing as I was watching this movie because I didn't know if I was expecting like a full blown zombie movie or like I said, like a classic novel type of movie. And this is more Pride and Prejudice
Than the zombies.
Right.
Right.
It's definitely more of that and with zombies mixed into it, but integrated into the world really well.
Yeah, because it's part of the world, essentially. It's something that these people have lived with for a while, to the point where, I mean, they touch on a movie where they've trained, and it's just kind of part of everyone's upbringing at this point is fighting zombies. So it's not so much, the zombies isn't so much a plot element as it is just part of the environment and the world that they live in.
Yeah, and I liked that. I like that aspect of it because it's different. You watch a lot of these zombie movies nowadays, and it's such part of our culture that we kind of just see the same type of zombie movie over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really nothing different to it. So this, not relying heavily on zombies and having them in the background and having like a different take on them
Mm-hmm.
altogether was actually interesting.
It was refreshing.
Yeah.
Very.
And I honestly enjoyed that aspect to it a lot more than I anticipated because I expected a zombie movie. For the most part,
Mm-hmm.
but then I didn't get that. But then I was still happy with the amount of zombie in this movie, which isn't a lot.
Right, right. So, I mean, if you're going to this movie expecting like a full-blown zombie movie, you will be disappointed.
Oh, absolutely. You'll walk away hating this movie.
Yeah, I mean, me not really knowing what to expect from this, I walked away pleasantly surprised because while initially I was kind of disappointed with the amount of, or rather the lack of zombie in this, after thinking about it for a while, I realized that this movie knew exactly what it was doing in that sense and played off it very well.
Oh yeah, and I'm not too familiar with Pride and Prejudice. I've seen there's been many movie iterations of it, and I haven't sat down and watched it. So like watching the story was for me personally like through fresh eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really necessarily know the story, so I was engaged,
Yeah, totally. So was I.
and it was just interesting. Like the first take that you see, the first time you see a zombie, it's actually a pretty cool view of the world because you're like looking at as he's being murdered through the zombie's eyes,
Right.
which is actually kind of cool because like you don't see that ever.
Yeah, and it humanizes them in an aspect which they keep bringing back throughout the movie.
Right. Yeah. These zombies are definitely different than what you would normally take. I mean, even the look of them. Actually, I really dug the way they looked.
Yeah, I mean
It wasn't like a typical Walking Dead type
Mhm.
of zombie. They had this. I can't put my picture on it, but like I've seen artwork with the way that these zombies kind of looked that I always really admired. I thought it was really, really well done. And it had this unique look to it. And this movie like really captured that. And I was like, this is actually really kind of cool.
yeah, I mean it's not like super grotesque and just rotting flesh everywhere, but it's sections and pieces falling off and still human in some aspect.
Yeah. Uh, it is, I mean, you're incorporating zombies into a classic novel, so it has to have some of that humor aspects to it, but it does it really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how just seamlessly integrated everything is. Like, people go off to Japan to train, but the girls in this movie, they go to China and learn Shaolin.
Which is considered lower class, so they're kind of looked down upon on it, which is humorous because it once again brings in the whole idea of class and everything, which is huge in this era.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the mother's single job just wants to marry off her daughters to successful people. That's her whole goal in life, essentially. But like the father is like, no, you guys will be trained in Shaolin. I'm like, that was just so rad.
It is.
I really enjoyed that aspect to it. But yeah, as they're just talking about like having the zombies around, meanwhile they're still doing their upper class types of gatherings and just completely
Blasé to the world around them, essentially.
Yeah, it's like shit is all around them. They've sectioned off this area where they don't necessarily get invasions or anything, and they just live life like they don't exist, but they're still there and they're still around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird how seamless everything.
Yeah, I
is.
mean, and they do a great job of just kind of shifting the tone as well, because you'll have these very, proper scenes where it's the dialogue that you expect from a movie like this, but then they just roll across the zombie and it shifts into that whole kind of zombie mode, like, oh, okay, time to deal with this. And it was like, the characters just do it in such a way that it's like, it's so natural for them.
Yeah.
It's done really well.
What really works, this movie could have easily failed if they didn't have the right main character.
Yeah.
I think that it's Elizabeth Bennet, played by Lily James.
Right. And she's been like Downton Abbey.
I think she's been in a couple of different things.
And the live action version of Cinderella.
Like I've recognized her, and I'm just like, wow, And she was just captivating the whole entire movie. Like, she was great in her role.
Oh, totally. Well, like I said, she's been Downton Abbey, so she has that pedigree, she has that experience playing someone like that, and it was natural for her to do it, and it just added this other element, which I think they did very well, because she was kind of a kick-ass broad.
Yeah, like she needed to be. I mean, she carried the film. Like, you don't necessarily, like, at least personally, I didn't care about the rest of the sisters at all. I was really just focused in on her.
Right. I mean, they don't spend a lot of time on the rest of the sisters, except for the one that
her older sister.
Right.
But yeah, for me, the scene stealer every time was one of the doctors. I think he was the 11th Doctor.
I don't know. I don't know the numbers.
Matt Smith.
Right.
He was amazing in this
He
movie.
did such a good job. Like, not having any affinity for Doctor Who or anything like that. Like, I never really followed him. So this is really one of the only roles I've really seen him do, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, he was the 11th Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Like,
right.
I'm same as you. I really never gotten into Doctor Who that much. I watched a couple episodes here or there, but I can't say that like I've committed to watching Doctor Who. But like, holy crap, man! Like, that dude was just awesome. Like, he was, his comedic timing was perfect.
Exactly.
Great facial expression, just everything about him. He like filled the screen. He was awesome. So that was a nice thing. I think that's what really helped with this movie. Was the fact that the acting was really done well, and like there wasn't
around.
somebody kind of like phoning it in. It was just good. It was pretty solid in that regard.
Everyone committed their role, and they did a really good job of it.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised because I could easily see this movie being a lot of people not really caring about this movie and just thinking this is bad because they're expecting a zombie movie. But as a whole, I think that it integrates it really well, and I was entertained.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself caring about the characters and the relationships throughout the movie, which I was not expecting.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple issues with it here and there, but for them, I mean, pacing is something that we always talk about in all of our movies. There's some moments that kind of slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But all in all, it doesn't feel like it's 5 hours long. It's interesting enough to carry through and keep focused and keep your
attention.
Yes, attention into it. I'm honestly surprised that I'm saying that I enjoyed this movie. I did not expect to say that. I expected the opposite, and just like, it's another zombie movie, whatever.
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting me to enjoy it as much as I did in the ways that I did. I was expecting to be at least entertained, but I was thoroughly entertained, and in a much different aspect.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about in the review section?
So the actors did a good job. Story, I mean, like we said, there are issues with pacing. I don't know. I think that about covers it until we go into spoilers.
What do you think of the special effects or...
Special effects were decent. I mean, I feel like a single episode of The Walking Dead had a bigger budget than the whole movie of this, almost.
It kind of feels that way. Like, we'll just rent out a nice castle for their interior shots, and then we'll just go into some nice wilderness areas and film.
Yeah.
But yeah, it overall it's decent enough. It's not distracting. Like, oh, this is just on a backlot cheesy movie. I think they did attention.
Yes, they did good job with the scenery and everything like that. It's just the special effects were a little wanting at places, but still good art design behind the creature creation.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, I honestly, for me, I recommend it.
Yeah.
I recommend checking this movie out, which is surprising to say, but don't go into it expecting a zombie movie.
No, definitely don't do that. But it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, which is refreshing to say after the last several reviews that we've done here at Lost Level, where we're kind of just sitting here like, But it's nice. It's nice to talk about a movie like this. Was surprised that it's a zombie movie, but yeah, we actually enjoyed it. So it was something worth our time. So we're gonna sign off here, but at the same time, listen in for spoilers after it. So Alex, what else do you have to say about it? Like, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is definitely worth seeing. I don't think necessarily something you have to see in theaters. If you get a cheap matinee or something like that, $2 theater, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, if it's on Netflix, give it a watch. But I don't think it's something you need to really run to the theater for.
Yeah, and that is one thing that we did notice too, because we went on opening night, and the theater was not full.
No.
That you can, I would say maybe 10 to 12 people.
Yeah.
You know,
About that.
It wasn't like in a big auditorium. It's noticeable that there's a lot of seats. So yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. You saw trailers here and there, but it wasn't. It got to the point where there was not that much marketing leading up to launch.
Right. I only saw one trailer one time, so definitely not a lot of marketing for this. I mean, I only really realized that it was coming out just because I'm always checking out what's coming out this week, and that's the only reason I really knew.
Yeah, that and we've been kind of hungry to do some reviews because the last couple of weeks there's a couple of movies that we just didn't want to review.
Yeah, there's really nothing we felt was worth our time.
Yeah, so this was a surprising movie for us.
Yeah.
So, Alex, how can we reach you?
You can follow me on Twitter. My name there is Alex Sandberg, AlexSanberg, or email me directly at the website, alex@lostlevel.com. What about you, Chris?
I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/calmintensity. I'm also on Instagram, Chris is calm. We have all of our social medias for Lost Level on lostlevel.com. In the upper right-hand corner, were links to iTunes, links to our YouTube page, which we're doing some fun, exciting stuff on there. We've done some unboxings. We're hopefully getting some video for some of these reviews very soon. Looking into that and doing some extended stuff. So exciting stuff coming for YouTube. Definitely subscribe to us there. We'd really appreciate it. Give us some likes and give us some stars on iTunes, and we'd really appreciate it. So hang on for spoilers here, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Spoilers! All right, man.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird because there's not too much stuff that immediately comes out at me. Like, I really enjoyed the main character. Like I said, I thought that the relationships that she had weren't contrived necessarily. They felt
they felt complicated.
They felt very complicated, but at the same time, they felt like they had enough screen time to mature and develop, as opposed to I love you, I hate you, I love you at the end. The type of quick romance stuff that it's not believable.
Right.
I feel like this had enough in it where you kind of believed it.
Yeah, I mean, she was immediately taken by this one person who scorned her, who hurt her. So, of course she starts to develop animosity, but can't get rid of those initial feelings, and it's the struggle between that while the feelings for this other person who, you get to the idea that, there may be something more to him that we're not fully aware of. And of course, it comes to be revealed. And it's like, oh, okay. But it's like, one thing that kind of bothered me about was that they touch on the subject of the four horsemen.
Yeah.
The four people in the top hats, and you see them briefly twice, but it's never really revisited. And it's like,
it's not really revisited, but then at the very end there's that mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
And you see the guy, the main guy the main villain who you thought was gonna die, he had the four horsemen riding behind him.
Right.
So
I guess they're gearing up for a sequel?
Maybe. I mean, possibly. And I would like to... God, that's weird to say. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel for this.
Yeah, I know, but it almost feels like if they were to do a sequel for this, it would be that traditional zombie movie.
Yeah, because then you're dealing with the zombie. Yeah, but they set it up well enough where I'm interested to see these girls in like these proper girls doing Shaolin against zombies. So it's a premise that I'm interested to see more of.
Okay.
It's not just a traditional guys with swords or whatever, or guys with guns just popping off zombies' heads or whatever like that. It's different enough premise in a zombie universe that I'm interested to see more of.
Okay, I think I can follow you there, yeah.
But I do agree with you with the Four Horsemen. It is set up kind of cool, and it kind of feels like there must have been scenes that they cut out lead up into it, because when you see the Four Horsemen in the graveyard, and she sees them quickly, and then kind of just turns away, and they're not there anymore. It feels like that was going to be the start of some subplot type of thing where she's seeing these people around,
right,
leading up to it, and then they just kind of don't really necessarily appear again. So yeah, I agree with you.
I also think I would have liked them to explore the idea of the zombies fighting off the nature of lusting for human brains. I mean, they go into it. They're like, we can have peaceful recourse with them, and then just suddenly it's thrown away by Mr. Darcy feeding them brains and giving them that lust.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff in this movie, but it's just it's limited by its runtime.
Right.
There's definitely, like, if you saw this like in a series drawn out more, like in maybe like a 6-part mini episode type of thing, where you have 6 hours to cover a lot of this stuff, then yeah, they can flesh a lot more of that out. But for time constraints, I think that it was tight enough where it needed to be to make the movie entertaining.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, and I see that. I don't know. I felt it weird that they were going to approach this peaceful recourse and just kind of have it thrown away like that. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to think about. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd like to see an extended cut of this and see what they were trying to go with some of these ideas.
Right.
Because, yeah, that is kind of a cool idea. It's interesting to see zombies just kind of like talking and like just having carry on conversations. Like, they're still human, but their flesh is rotting.
Right.
So that stuff's kind of entertaining. It's definitely something different again.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that a bit in what was that one zombie movie with the Warm Bodies.
Yeah,
kind of like that.
But they took a while to talk, and they had to evolve into like that.
That's true.
This one is like, yeah, they've been bitten, they're converting, but they're still able to maintain their human
tendencies,
right? So they can still talk and everything. I was just amused by like how proper everybody was, and then there's just this zombie apocalypse outside.
The scene that blew me away, honestly, was when it's the main girl and Mr. Darcy fighting in that lounge while verbally having a peaceful discourse about their feelings towards each other, and why there's animosity, and it's so prim and proper, but they're kicking the shit out of each other, but still maintaining that proper etiquette.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie, man.
Yeah, dude.
So, anything else you want to talk about in spoilers?
No, I think that pretty much covers it all.
Okay. Well, let us know what you guys think about this. If you definitely checked it out, if you thought zombies were the main focus of this movie, maybe you didn't like it, but we'd like to know anyways. Chris at lostlevel.com or podcasts at lostlevel.com. We appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.